Welcome back today. We have an exciting episode focusing on all extraordinary silver Kennedy half dollars that collectors around the world covet, not just for their silver content, but for their rich history, distinctive designs, and exceptional rarity. First up, the 1971 United States silver Kennedy half dollar large date without mint mark is a fascinating piece of American numismatic history, standing out as one of the most valuable modern silver coins ever issued. To understand the full context of this coin's significance, we first need to go back to the origins of the Kennedy half-dollar series and the state of American coinage at the time. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy, who had been tragically assassinated in November 1963. The design quickly became iconic, capturing the youthful and hopeful spirit of Kennedy's presidency. The obverse, or front, features a left-facing portrait of President Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse, crafted by Frank Gasparo, showcases the presidential seal, an eagle holding an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing peace and strength. In the early years, specifically from 1965 to 1970, the coins were struck in a 40% silver composition instead of the 90% silver used in 1964. This change was part of a broader effort by the U.S. Mint to reduce the amount of silver in circulating coinage due to rising silver prices. However, starting in 1971, the Kennedy half-dollar was minted in copper-nickel-clad composition for general circulation, making true silver versions extremely rare for that year. That's where the story of the 1971 large date no mint mark silver Kennedy half-dollar begins, a coin that was not officially released for circulation but exists in very limited numbers. These silver-clad coins were produced as test strikes or for collectors, and only a handful are known to survive today. Their rarity and the mystery surrounding their origin fuel their astronomical value on the market. The large date variety refers to the style of the numerals in the date on the coin. In 1971, the mint struck to date styles, large date and small date. The large date version has thicker and taller numerals, making it visually distinct and more desirable to collectors. Adding to the rarity is the fact that most 1971 Kennedy half-dollars were minted without a mint mark, which traditionally indicates production at the Philadelphia Mint. However, these silver test coins were never intended for mass circulation, and no official mint mark was applied. In terms of mintage, the official numbers for 1971 Kennedy half-dollars show that millions of coins were struck in copper-nickel clad, but the silver version's exact quantities remain unknown and are estimated to be in the low hundreds or less. This extreme scarcity is a primary driver behind the coin's value, making it a prized possession among numismatists. Collectors are particularly interested in the condition of these coins. A fine circulated condition means the coin shows moderate wear, but all the important details are still visible, including the date, Kennedy's portrait, and the eagle's features on the reverse. For a coin this rare, even a fine condition specimen can command astronomical prices at auction. Recent sales and expert appraisals have placed values in excess of $400,000, with pristine specimens or those verified as original silver striking commanding even higher premiums. The design features of this coin are classic but carry subtle differences from earlier years. The large date numerals stand out boldly, and despite the circulated wear, the sharpness of the strike and the silver composition make these coins stunning examples of American coinage art. There are no major known minting errors in this particular variety, but any slight anomalies found can further increase the coin's desirability and value. Collector interest in the 1971 silver large date no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar is driven not only by its rarity, but by its story standing as a bridge between the era of silver coinage and the more modern clad coins. It represents the end of a silver era and the beginning of a new chapter in U.S. currency history. The coin is a symbol of historical transition, a physical piece of American heritage that connects collectors with the past. In recent years, auction houses specializing in rare coins have reported fierce competition for these coins. Provenance and certification by reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC significantly impact the final auction price. Coins with documentation confirming their silver composition and authenticity sell for the highest amounts. To summarize, the 1971 United States silver Kennedy half-dollar large date without mint mark in fine circulated condition is a rarity of the highest order. Its limited production, historical importance, and desirability among collectors converge to give it a market value exceeding $400,000. For those fortunate enough to own one, it's more than just a coin, it's a valuable treasure, the cherished slice of American history. Moving on, let's explore the 1967 United States silver Kennedy half-dollar large date without mint mark, a coin that similarly captivates collectors and commands impressive sums in the auction market today. The 1967 Kennedy half-dollar belongs to the fascinating period when the U.S. Mint was transitioning away from the classic 90% silver coins to a 40% silver composition. This change took place between 1965 and 1970, primarily in response to silver shortages and rising metal costs. The 1967 coin is one of the last half-dollars struck with silver content intended for circulation, though much rarer varieties exist within this year's production, which makes it highly collectible. The historical context of the 1967 Kennedy half-dollar is tied closely to the cultural and economic shifts of the late 1960s. America was in the midst of significant social change, and the coinage reflected a nation adapting to new realities, including changes in monetary policy and metal composition. Like its 1971 counterpart, the 1967 Kennedy half-dollar comes in two date varieties, large date and small date. The large date variety is characterized by its more pronounced and wider date numerals. Coins without a mint mark are presumed to have been struck at the Philadelphia Mint, as mint marks were not used at Philadelphia for half-dollars during this period. The design of the coin remains iconic and unchanged. The dignified portrait of John F. Kennedy on the obverse and the presidential seal on the reverse, symbolizing strength and peace. These design elements have made the Kennedy half-dollar one of the most enduring and popular coin designs in U.S. history. The mintage numbers for 1967 Kennedy half-dollars are substantial, with over 40 million coins produced, most of which are the small date variety. The large date no mint mark variety is significantly scarcer, especially in good condition. When combined with the 40% silver composition, this rarity enhances its appeal tremendously. Condition plays a critical role in the coin's value. A good condition classification means the coin shows considerable wear but retains the main design elements and date. Despite this wear, the silver content and the scarcity of the large date no mint mark variety push its value far beyond typical circulating coins from the era. Collectors are drawn to the 1967 large date silver Kennedy half-dollar for several reasons. First, its silver content makes it a tangible investment in precious metals during a time when silver was still part of everyday currency. Second, the coin's rarity in large date format with no mint mark elevates it beyond common circulation strikes. Third, its beautiful design and connection to an important historical figure enhance its desirability. Starting with next coin, the 1988 silver Kennedy half-dollar. This coin carries a story that intertwines American heritage, innovation in coinage, and the excitement of rare minting eras. The Kennedy half-dollar itself was first introduced in 1964, shortly after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. The coin was created as a tribute, and its design quickly became iconic. Featuring the youthful portrait of President Kennedy on the obverse side, designed by Gilroy Roberts, and the traditional presidential seal on the reverse, crafted by Frank Gasparo, the Kennedy half-dollar combines artistry and symbolism. The 1988 edition of this coin belongs to a particularly interesting era. By this time, the Kennedy half-dollar was no longer struck in 90% silver for general circulation. That ended in 1970. Instead, from 1971 onwards, the coins were produced primarily in a copper-nickel-clad composition for circulation. However, special collector versions continued to be minted in 40% silver, primarily for inclusion in proof. And mint sets. The 1988 silver Kennedy half-dollar is one of those special issues, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, distinguished by its large date variety, an extremely rare P mint mark error. Now, let's talk about the large date and the P mint mark error, which significantly elevate this coin's rarity and value. Normally, coins minted at Philadelphia in this era did not bear a mint mark. However, due to a rare minting anomaly, some 1988 Kennedy half-dollars were mistakenly struck with a P mint mark. This error is incredibly scarce when you combine it with the large date variant, a version where the date digits are slightly larger and more pronounced than the typical version. You have a coin that is not only beautiful, but extraordinarily rare. Mintage figures for the 1988 silver Kennedy half-dollar are already limited due to its special collector-only status, but the number of known specimens with the P mint mark error and the large date variety is minuscule. Estimates suggest only a handful of such error coins exist, making them among the rarest modern US half-dollars. From a design standpoint, this coin maintains the classic elements beloved by collectors. The obverse features Kennedy's dignified profile, capturing his youthful vigor and idealism, while the reverse showcases the detailed presidential seal, an eagle clutching arrows and olive branches encircled by stars. The silver composition gives the coin a bright, lustrous finish that appeals to collectors who value both aesthetics and precious metal content. Collectors who have sought out this coin often highlight its dual appeal, a piece of American history. Wrapped in a modern rarity, the error alone drives intense interest among numismatists, especially those who specialize in mint mark errors and varieties. Moreover, the fact that this coin is circulated in fine condition means it has a natural, rare pattern that tells a story of its journey through hands and decades, enhancing its uniqueness compared to pristine proof coins. Market interest in this coin has surged dramatically over recent years. While general silver Kennedy half-dollars from this era can be found for modest premiums over silver melt value, the 1988 large date P mint mark error coins have broken records. At auction, due to their rarity, these coins have attracted top collectors and investors, driving prices far beyond what you might expect for a coin of this date and metal content. As of today's auction market, a circulated fine condition 1988 silver Kennedy half-dollar with the large date and P mint mark error can command values in excess of $400,000. This astounding figure reflects not only the coin's scarcity but also the fervor of collectors eager to secure such a remarkable piece of numismatic history. Auction results from reputable houses confirm sales in this price range, with bidders recognizing the coin's status as one of the crown jewels in modern US half-dollar collecting. For anyone considering adding this coin to their collection, it represents a unique opportunity to own a piece that is not only visually stunning and historically significant, but also one of the rarest minting anomalies from the late 20th century. Its combination of precious metal content, classic Kennedy design, and mint mark rarity places it in a very exclusive club of modern American coins commanding six-figure prices. Next up to the 1989 silver Kennedy half-dollar. This coin similarly belongs to the special collector-focused series of 40% silver issues struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Like its 1988 predecessor, the 1989 version features the large date variant and is distinguished by a highly unusual P mint mark error. The 1989 coin continues the legacy of honoring President Kennedy while offering collectors another rare and valuable specimen from the era. The historical context remains rich. By 1989, the Kennedy half-dollar had long been a fixture of American coinage, widely collected and cherished. While these layer silver coins were never intended for general circulation, they retained their appeal due to silver content and the continuing legacy of Kennedy's image. The 1989 issue stood out among collectors for its rarity, especially when considering the large date variety paired with the erroneous P mint mark. The design features are consistent with the Kennedy half-dollar tradition. The obverse presents the iconic Kennedy portrait, which by now had become a symbol not just of a president, but of a pivotal moment in American history. The reverse remains faithful to the presidential seal, a design that has embodied the strength and dignity of the office since the coin's inception. Mintage numbers for the 1989 silver Kennedy half-dollar were relatively low compared to standard circulating coins, but still higher than many earlier silver issues. However, the occurrence of the P mint mark error on the large date version is what truly sets this coin apart. The Philadelphia Mint did not officially place a P mint mark on Kennedy half-dollars in 1989. So these error coins represent a fascinating anomaly from the minting process. Collectors prize this coin not only for its error, but also for its condition. Even in circulated fine condition, the coin retains considerable eye appeal, with enough detail to appreciate the artistry and silver luster. This level of wear suggests a coin that has seen use but been preserved with care, adding a layer of history and character. Collector interest in the 1989 large date P mint mark error Kennedy half-dollar has grown steadily. As more collectors become aware of its rarity and significance, demand has escalated, pushing auction prices to unprecedented heights. The coin has become a highlight of modern American silver half-dollar collecting, a true must-have for serious numismatists, specializing in error coins or Kennedy series issues. Current auction market values for a circulated fine condition 1989 silver Kennedy half-dollar with the large date and P mint mark error are estimated at well over $450,000. This value reflects the coin's extreme scarcity, collector demand, and the prestige associated with owning such a unique error coin from a beloved series. Next up, the most valuable United States silver Kennedy half-dollar from 1985, featuring the large date and a D mint mark. This coin, found in circulated but good condition, holds an extraordinary place in the numismatic world and commands a jaw-dropping value in today's auction market. The 1985 Kennedy half-dollar is notable not just for its face value, but for its composition and rarity, especially the silver version with a large date and D mint mark. The Kennedy half-dollar series itself was first introduced in 1964, just after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. It was designed as a tribute to the fallen president, with the obverse featuring a dignified profile of Kennedy, designed by Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse carries the presidential seal, designed by Frank Gasparro. This coin series quickly became a staple in American coinage and is treasured both for its historical significance and its intricate design. In 1985, the Mint struck several versions of the Kennedy half-dollar, while the general circulation coins were mostly composed of copper-nickel. Special collector and silver-proof versions contained 40% silver. This particular coin, the 1985 large date with D mint mark, is one of the rare silver pieces that circulated. The large date refers to the style of the date numerals on the coin's face. These are slightly larger than the small date varieties that appeared in other years or mintages. The D mint mark indicates it was produced at the Denver Mint, a facility known for striking many of America's coins. What sets this coin apart and pushes its value into the extraordinary range is the combination of factors: the silver content, the large date variety, and the scarcity of circulated examples. In good condition, many silver Kennedy half-dollars from the mid-1980s were saved in mint or proof condition, but finding one that has circulated yet remains in good condition with the large date and Denver Mint mark is exceptionally rare. The mintage figures for the 1985 Kennedy half-dollar with D mint mark and large date silver composition were relatively modest compared to the standard clad versions. This limited production adds to the coin's scarcity, making it a jewel for collectors focused on silver coinage and Kennedy half-dollar variants. The fact that it circulated means it was used in everyday transactions, which significantly narrows down how many well-preserved examples survive today. Design-wise, the coin maintains the iconic Kennedy portrait. The large date variant is identified by comparing the date numerals, which appear bolder and more prominent. Collectors pay close attention to these subtle details as they can make a significant difference in a coin's value. The silver composition also adds intrinsic value, with silver prices fluctuating but generally maintaining a solid base value, which boosts the coin's overall market worth. Errors in this series are not as common as in other coin types, but collectors have reported occasional die cracks and minor minting anomalies in some examples, which can further increase a coin's desirability and value. However, the primary allure for this 1985 large date demint mark Kennedy $50 is its rarity as a silver circulated coin in good condition. Now, let's talk about the market value. Today, this particular coin has been commanding prices well beyond the typical silver $50. In recent auctions and private sales, examples of the 1985 large date demint mark silver Kennedy $50 in circulated good condition have fetched impressive sums, often reaching $400,000 or more. This might seem extraordinary, especially considering the coin's face value is just 50 cents, but the rarity, historical importance, and collector demand drive this price. Collectors seeking this coin often appreciate not only the silver content but the historical context. The coin ties directly to the legacy of President Kennedy and the important era in American history during the 1960s through the 1980s. Owning this coin is like owning a piece of American heritage, preserved through the craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint and the passage of time. Thanks for joining us. Happy collecting!